Good evening and welcome to Friday Night Live. Here we are yet again, the 6th of June, 2025 for another fantastic edition of your favorite Friday night streaming show, Friday Night Live here with the Page crew. Joining me yet again, as always, is Jenn Cash, Ed Stark, and Ron Meischker. Jenn, how are we doing?
Wonderful, wonderful. It's been such a great week. I think I'm going to be streaming tomorrow, my first one ever. So, wish me luck.
Here's the luck. I'm pushing out the vibe.
All right.
Good luck.
Ed, how was your week?
Busy. As you know, I work at ZeniMax Online Studios, and we are just getting ready to kick off a new Elder Scrolls expansion that I'm going to be heading up. So I've been writing documentation. It always makes me flash back to days in high school when you used to complain about writing like a 5-page paper or whatever. And I'm like, this last week I must have written about 80 pages of material and still not done. So, that type of week. Looking forward to a relaxing weekend.
Well, this was my last day of work for the school year. I'm still on fumes. The last about 10 to 12 days of any school year is really anxiety inducing and energy draining. So once we get done with this stream, I'm going to hit the pillow hard, but not before I say good evening to Mr. Ron Meischker. Ron, what's up?
Hey, good evening, folks. Had our semi-regular Friday night AD&D second edition game today. The party managed to defeat 3 blind times and find a subterranean grotto. And we have our favorite groupie here, Elise Paxson. There's Jennifer. And we
and
are and the air conditioning unit, which is awesome. It works awesome. Well, you slept on the floor in this room.
I have, yes. I Christianed it with the first person sleeping on the floor.
Well, good. Well, actually, I think I was the first person to sleep on the floor.
Oh, wow. You would know better than me.
Yeah, I fall asleep.
That doesn't really say much for the excitement of your games if everybody's falling asleep.
No, this is the Page office. This isn't where we play.
Yeah, when we were watching Conan, Ed.
Oh, I know. It was just too easy a joke.
Yeah, right. Of course. Well, anyway, friends, we are going to have 2 guests join us this evening, and we might as well hop right into having a chat with them, and then we're going to follow up. If you want to know what the latest and greatest Page news is, stick around after the conversations, and we're going to give you the week's highlights. There were a couple of interesting things that may have slid past you that you probably want to hear about. So if you are joining us or you are watching this after the fact, you wanna hear that information. So, all right. Well, our guests I think are waiting, Ron. Are they not?
Yeah, we're going to bring in Mark from the Order of the Owl first.
Okay, let's do that.
And there he is.
There he is.
Hey, everybody.
Mark,
Hello.
Mark, good evening. Hello.
Who is it? Who?
Oh, it's going to be one of those nights. It sounds.
That's right. It's been a long week.
Well, Mark, welcome and thank you for joining us. You, my friend, are going to be joining us at Page 3, and we are very, very happy to have you. Someone out there might say we are altastically excited. I just made up a word there. I don't think that's a real word, but we're going to go with the cheesy cornball jokes all night, I guess. So, but anyway, welcome. So like we typically do, we like to learn a little bit about our guests and who join us here on the stream, and tell us about your space in the gaming hobby / industry, and then how you see that corresponding to your visit with us here at Page 3.
All right. Was lucky enough. I grew up in the late 60s, early 70s, outside of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Germantown. And so my friends were wealthy enough to take a farm kid along with them to their vacation spot, which was Lake Geneva. And so it was there in 1974 that I learned how to play from Gary. And so for years after that, we would go back there for summer vacations whenever we had time. Working on the farm, most of the stuff you do is in the spring or in the fall, so you can get some summer breaks. Anyway, I ended up being a lifelong friend of Gary Gygax, and I also met Arneson in Minneapolis, St. Paul when I was younger. We moved to Minnesota after Wisconsin in 1979. And so I got to play with both of them. And we actually did some tandem gaming where one would do a module and they'd be testing it. And then they would, like Wednesday night would be Arneson's game. So we would clear out dungeons. And then Thursday night was Gary's game in Lake Geneva. And their group was going through the dungeon and maybe a different part, or they would come upon the rooms that we had cleaned out and killed the bad guys. And then one of the neatest things in gaming was that year, I think it must have been 1979 or 80, we were at Gen Con, but it had just graduated to the University of Wisconsin there at Whitewater. And they had us in tables next to each other in the same dungeon. And when we walked into one side of the chamber, they had just gotten so they had timed it within one round of coming into the same chamber, and there were bad guys on the far side. And you have a choice at that point. It was a tumbleweed moment where you could turn and fight the other party, or you could fight the monsters, or you could fight both, or all of the good guys could join together and fight the bad guys, which is what we did. At that point, it was a grand melee. And we did win. And then both parties kind of split up the treasure. Whatever you killed, you got to keep. And then you went on your separate ways. But my promise to Gary before he passed was that I would keep on teaching people AD&D until I pass. So that's basically the niche I fell into at GaryCon by accident. I was just volunteering there. And things sort of organically became the Order of the Owl. So.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And what is your elevator pitch as to what exactly is the Order of the Owl?
So what happened was I was volunteering in the mornings, as you do. I'm sure you guys, Paige, you're standing there in the morning and you're registering people and you're greeting people, and the lines can be a little long or whatever, and you're trying to entertain people and keep them happy. Well, it was later in the day, and the lines are gone and people are playing their games. And I look over and there's a group of 4 or 5 people that are standing there awkwardly, and they didn't have a game. And so I went over to them and I said, "Do you guys want to play?" And their shoulders dropped a couple inches in relief, and they smiled and they said, "Yes, let's go find a place." And they didn't even ask what. They just, they said, "Well, let's do AD&D." So we went and found a quiet place, set up a table. Actually, I had the concierge at the hotel we stayed at set up a separate table just for us because a lot of tables were taken, and they didn't have a lot of stuff open for open gaming at that point. I think that's something that's been added since. So we found our own little quiet corner and we started playing. And basically what it grew into was that if your DM is sick, I'm the one that will take in those players as a DM. If something like an emergency happens, I'm the one that will take care of those players and welcome them into my game. If there are walk-up people that just registered that day, or if they're spectators and they just want to watch D&D, what it was like back when Gary was still alive and playing, then they can we end up with crowds around us very often just watching us play.
Yeah.
Well, one of the funny things that the way I kind of met Mark was I've been a guest at GaryCon several years, and my wife used to go with me. And by weird coincidence, we would have a room that was right around the corner for where Mark had his setup. And so we would walk past him constantly. And of course, Jill, who made friends with everybody, would stop and chat and would watch the game, and she'd tell me about it, and I'd go out and spy on him, and we got to chatting and things like that. So, and I have a fun recent story to tell, but I'll let you guys keep talking first.
Yeah.
So that's, I mean, to tie it in with Paige, that's exactly what I've talked to Ron and Ed about, and now you guys and anyone else that, you know, basically, if you need a game, or if you're unsure, or if you're nervous, or if you've never played, I'm really good with beginning players. And it's a really, really, I mean, even if you're a 5th edition player and you wanted to try AD&D, it's a really easy segue. I mean, the most important thing is the role playing. I can tell you what numbers to roll. I can also tell you what the numbers mean. You know, if coming up with a good backstory and all that other stuff, I mean, that comes with time and experience. So that's basically what I do. And so far, it seems like people really like it. So.
If I remember, it's always that really big table on the second floor.
Yep.
On the north wing?
Yeah, we're in that the top of the vestibule, the kind of stairwell.
Yeah.
And yeah, we go. What the amazing thing is that people basically, if there's 4 days in the convention, we're there from noon until 2 a.m. every single night, including Sunday, because people don't want to leave. So. Yeah.
I've noticed that GaryCon's one of the conventions where they literally have to kick people out.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, time to go now. The convention's over, and they don't leave. Anyway.
And I'll say that so far, I mean, the crew here, you guys, you know, Ron and Ed, I mean, I more experience with you guys, less with Jenn and Phil. But man, the energy and your dreams and the aspirations and what you want it to be, I mean, I got to give kudos to you guys. This is amazing. So I want to thank you for the invite. And once again, tell you guys that anything you need help with, I will help with.
So how long do your games last?
Well, the thing is, it doesn't, I mean, usually 12-hour sessions, and I leave it open. I organized it as a sandbox. So what happened is that I'm not one of those shoehorn DMs. I don't run somebody where you have to do X, Y, Z. There's so many layers and complexities and intrigues and plots going on, plus your regular encounters that you roll, that you don't have to do anything. So there's a core group of OGs, people that have been playing for a while, and now they're actually graduated to the point where they have some of their own henchmen that they're running, or in some cases, their children that they're running. And so this is the longest running campaign at GaryCon. I think this last year was our 10th or 11th year straight. And so there is no end. I mean, obviously, I mean, there's no, I never finish a module. I mean, we'll go from module to module in Greyhawk. That's where we are. We're kind of centered out of the Valley of the Mage, if you guys know the map of Greyhawk.
Sure.
Gary actually let me design part of the Valley of the Mage, and then somehow the notes got to Anna Meyer when she created her interactive maps. So that whole area of the Valley of the Mage is actually my artwork that she has made into the artwork for Greyhawk, which is really neat. So that area in the northeast part of the Valley of the Mage was Bowman's Lake. That's my mom's maiden name. And the town on the north end is Richfield. That's where I grew up, Richfield, Wisconsin. So, I mean, it's like all kind of paying homage to where I was from.
Oh, that's great.
So anyway, so as far as like, does it end? I guess, you know, we have like where we achieve a goal, like we defeated the Lich's minions this last time. We actually had some pretty major conflicts and combats, and they managed to pull it out. And we did have a few deaths, and we had a couple other close counters that could have been TPKs, but they managed to pull it out. So so far, and we do journal everything in Discord, and we also use Discord to keep track of all of our treasure. And then after the convention, we can roll up treasure and then distribute it to the people that want to through Discord. So we're archiving everything that we do.
Nice. So let's say I have like 3 seminars and I only have like an hour or two to devote to a game. Can I still play?
Yep, you grab your character, or if you don't have your character sheet with you, you download it from Discord, because the last time you played, you uploaded it to Discord. We can print it out at the table. We have our own printers that are Wi-Fi. And then you can sit down with your sheet from the last time you played and just start playing. And I have it open concept so that it's easy to bring people in and out. So you're a messenger that was running messages back to town, and now you're coming back to join us, and you caught up with us here. X marks the spot. So getting people in and out, I mean, yeah, some of that can break the fourth wall, but we do the best we can.
Mm-hmm. Perfect.
I am actually talking to Mark about roping him into an actual scheduled event to help me out with something that I'm working on. We won't take you away from the order too much, though. So
I'll have some other owlets with me. So it's weird. The Order of the Owl thing, I mean, if you guys don't mind, what happened was the first year, actually it was like the second or third year, we had one magic user, and I have a special chart for Find Familiar. He rolled that it was, I think, 16 on a 20 for the original spell, which to me does not automatically give you the brownie, the pseudo dragon, or the whatever it is. What is the other one? Brownie. Oh, yeah. Imp. Yeah. Okay. So it doesn't automatically give you that. It sends you to my chart, which is a D100, and he rolled a Fey Owl. So that's kind of cool. And then for a long time, we were going town to town, and the owl was so charismatic and sparkly and Fey-like. It looked like a Fey owl, that people started thinking that the owl was in charge and controlling us like meat puppets. And so basically that's how it became the Order of the Owl. It was just totally organic. It just grew that way. So,
well, that's great. And it sounds like you have accomplished what we're trying to accomplish with our Shadow Dark ongoing event. Like, we're going to have a convention-wide event specifically for Shadow Dark, with multiple GMs and things like that. And Dwarven Forge is actually involved in that, providing the terrain, and
nice.
Some dude named Ron supplying all the miniatures, including the monsters. So we're really it's really good to see it working on that level. What's going on? Somebody said thanks, Ed. Ed's giving me kudos that the countdown went well. I think what we're going to do now is we're going to bring on Mike Saxton and have Mark stay on, as is our tradition. And Mike Saxton is, of course, from Thunderstruck Workshop, who I think I'm probably paying his mortgage with my terrain purchases, and he should be very grateful to me, and for everything I do for him, and the way I've supported him and his family over the past couple of years. But let's bring Mark on, and
this is how deep it's getting. I'm barely breathing here.
And there's Mike.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah. Hey,
good to see you, Mike.
Hello.
So I don't think Ron's wrong. He is probably my best customer. I don't know that he's quite paying my mortgage, but he's definitely been a repeat customer many times.
Yeah. Yep. And then next week we're going to be at Central New York RPG Con, and the only reason he's going is to collect money from me and drop stuff off to me. He's not really going for the convention.
Yeah.
So,
well, between you and one other guy, you guys have made it well worth the trip. So
yeah.
It'll be a good time. I'm going to go up Saturday and set up a couple tables, and I was hoping to get in one of your games, and I wasn't paying attention, and then everything filled up. So I guess I'm just going to spectate. It's a small con. I don't expect to have a lot of sales. I'm going to show off my stuff and get my name out there, but it'll be a good time.
Yeah, sure.
It's an hour away from my house. So my daughter's going to come with me. She's got she'll be going to college soon. So I got to get as much time with her as I can.
So Mike,
it's so close. You gotta go.
I wanted to share this piece.
Nice.
You sold this to me last year at Page.
Yep.
Zeb Cook brought me over, and I think he bought a whole bunch of it too. But I wanted to show you that it wasn't just sitting around. I painted it up and have plans for using it
Oh, it looks great.
I've actually picked up a bunch of Sinbad miniatures, so we're going to have a little island adventure.
Yours looks a little more appropriate for a desert setting than mine. Mine's a little more colorful and vibrant.
Well, you did the really cool circus tent thing.
Yeah, I did.
And so I wanted to do something different.
Yeah,
But
it looks great.
Are the Sinbad characters Sinbad circa it's a different world?
It's more, I know it's from like the seventh voyage of Sinbad.
It's not from a different world?
No, it's not Sinbad the comedian from the late.
Somebody got what I was talking about.
I'm not up with the pop culture of you kids.
No, I think he's talking more of the Ray Harryhausen Sinbad.
Okay. Yeah, that's Sinbad.
Yeah. Can we send Ron to the green room, please?
He sends himself to the green room every once in a while.
Right.
Well, especially when there's food back there.
Yeah,
that's true.
Mike, do you have anything new coming out soon?
I actually do. I don't think you were here at the time. I was telling Ron before we started that I actually finally committed today. I sent notification to Printable Scenery that I would like to purchase a license for the year. I was doing Fat Dragon Games and Evan Carruthers, and I'm still doing both of them. I've got Gamescape 3D, but now I want to add Printable Scenery, and I have backed every Kickstarter they've had since the very first Winterdale one, their original one. I have everything they've ever made. I mean, all this stuff up here, that's all Printable Scenery. And they have, there's, I don't know if you can see it on here, but they got some pretty fantastic pieces here. And
well, show off that tree that tree dwelling I'm getting.
Yep, this is Printable Scenery here.
Oh, very cool. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
It opens up, it's playable. Inside there's a few pieces in it that still need to be assembled. There's a chair that comes with it, some branches that come off of here. It's all got to be glued together. I didn't want to break anything, so it's all sitting inside there right now. But yeah, they really have just an amazing library of stuff, and the fact that their license is expensive. There's not a lot of people. I mean, if you go on Etsy, if you look, I think they have 5 vendors that are selling in what they call the Americas. So it's North America and South America. And there's one vendor listed just for the US. So I will be the second US vendor.
That's great.
So, there's a little competition. I get on Etsy. Between them all, there's probably 5 people that can sell within the US, but I'm not so worried about that. I've got a customer base building up, the repeat customers, and the conventions are really help. One second.
One of the things I noticed at Page was your presentation of your product was really outstanding. I go to a lot of conventions, and I've gotten into painting a lot of scenery and buying stuff. I don't have a 3D printer set up myself because I just don't have the patience. But I like to buy stuff that's been 3D printed because it's usually, different from a lot of the stuff you can just get retail. And I thought your presentation really helped sell me on that set that I bought. Can you talk a little bit about your, how you present your product? Because you're not just laying it out there. You actually
we actually did it a little differently with Page 2, and we had a long talk about it and decided for Page 3 we're going to go even bigger with it. I have all kinds of battle mats. I buy these 4 foot by 6 foot neoprene battle mats. I've got 4 big tables pushed together, making a 10-foot table for my gaming room. And so I have all these different battle mats for different themes, and we decided each table in our booth is going to be a different theme. So we might have a table with a desert battle mat, and it's all going to be desert terrain. And we're going to have a table that's just a forest, and that's going to be forest, and maybe dungeon, and maybe underwater. We haven't decided exactly what themes we're going to go with. We do have limited table space, we've got a double booth, and we're on an end cap now, so we've got 3 full sides to it. We've got a lot of space, but we're still limited on how much we can display. I mean, there's so much I could make and go with.
Well, I can tell you that one of your competitors for Page, and we don't try to create a lot of competitive situations, but I don't think they're coming. What was the name of the other terrain company that was there? Diabolical Terrain.
Yeah.
I don't think he's coming. So.
Yeah. So one thing that I think really did set us apart, though, I walked around once or twice. I didn't really stop at Diabolical Terrain and talk to them too much, but I heard they had a ton of terrain there. But one of the differences was their stuff was unpainted, and it was kind of displayed where you really had to look through it to see what you were looking for, where we had set it up in themes and it was painted. And I don't particularly think I'm the greatest painter in the world, but everybody seems to like it. And, the fact that you can pick up a piece and it's ready to go on your table, that means a lot for people, because a lot of people don't paint.
It's key, and listen, when I take the time, and every once in a while, like over Christmas vacation, I'll go through and I'll paint 100 miniatures.
Yep.
I'll just like mull out in the painting area, because I don't get to do it that often anymore. But it's the same thing with the terrain. I'll sit down and start painting terrain and things like that, and it's so much easier just to buy the stuff painted. If it's painted well. If it's painted well, and that's why I like doing business with you. So,
I try and put some effort into it. I mean, I'm always hard on myself about it. I don't, I've seen some other people's work that I'm like, that's just amazing, and I don't feel I'm that quality. But everybody that buys from me is happy with it, so I guess I'm doing something right.
Can I ask what's your favorite out of everything you've painted and created? What's your favorite piece?
Oh, I don't know. That's tough. I have, I don't know. I really have so much. I mean, like I'm looking over here in the corner, and I have like the Baba Yaga's hut, and that was always a big seller. And I enjoy painting that. It's fun. But
I've got one of those.
I have 4 of them sitting there. I just mailed out 2 of them the other day. So is it a favorite? I don't know. I've made so many of them now that it's just like kind of becoming.
I may or may not have one of your painted Baba Yaga's huts in my collection.
Yeah.
So, Mike,
since my players watch the stream here, there's not much I could say, but they were going through a forest where stuff was running out of the forest from deeper in the forest to out of the forest, but that may or may not be related to this discussion.
So, Mike, one thing I'd like to mention, just to bring it back around to Page a little bit, is since we've expanded the area and we're going to have a lot more event space, we're also going to have dedicated demo space. And of course, we've got just over there to your left or right, depending on what your screen is, we've got Mark, who runs games. I bet that if you wanted to set up for any demos or grab a friendly DM, I'm sure they would be more than happy to use some of your stuff and put your marketing materials right there on the table.
Yeah, I actually, so Troy Allman, you guys have been talking with him. He's going to run some Shadow Dark games. I do need to talk with him. He had asked me once if I was interested in making. He had a very large piece that he wanted made and painted, and it was a little more than I really wanted to get into with trying to run the business and everything else. I mean, some of these big pieces can just take weeks of time to do, and I like doing them, but doing a custom piece like that sometimes just isn't worth it. It takes so much time. It's nice to be able to do them, but you can't always take everyone on. But
I was just thinking, like, for example, that big fortress you had, the wooden fortress that you had on your table, such a nice display piece. But I bet if that were used in a static demo or something, or in like one of Mark's games or whatever, you could clear up some of the space from your booth, and people would, be directed over there for seeing it. Just suggestion.
Some of that fortress, it has been used the last couple of game sessions in my Friday night game.
Nice.
So
yeah, there were 2 of those made, and as soon as I made the first one and painted it, I showed some pictures, and somebody was like, "Okay, how much? I want it." I was like, "Well, this was supposed to be displayed for Paige." so
did the person say to you, "I am Paige, bring it to Paige"?
Yeah. So
was that said?
Yeah. So.
Oh, okay. I don't know who that could have been.
So I made a second one, and
Sinbad, I think it was.
Did it all.
Yeah,
over
it was
again.
Sinbad.
But along those same veins, I will tell you that one of the things that really pushed me over the edge with Printable Scenery was their latest campaign that just finished. It was called Thrown in Ash, and they've never done something like this before. Instead of using clips to connect their things, they made an entire castle system that uses these hex connectors that slide into each other.
Yep.
And every single window and door and everything pops out and can be replaced with a brick wall or a pop-out window or another door or whatever. It's fully modular. And before I had I had a little flood in my basement here, and it pretty much took me down for about 3 weeks. I wasn't printing, wasn't doing anything. So we're back up and running. I'm just getting it all set up. I got to get this. Ron will see this castle next week, and I'm going to do a very large base set. If you wanted to buy a complete castle with, 4 towers, the gatehouse, the walls, all that, and it's big, and it's going to take up a full table. And then beyond that, you can buy every individual piece and keep adding to it. And there's a King's Keep that's giant. I mean, it's enormous that it connects to it.
You need to do a subscription service where people get set a few pieces every month.
I don't know if you could do that with the licensing, but I'm sure we could. I don't know how that works. I would have to
have an
look into it.
Amazon box.
Yeah. But that's definitely along the same
Why
lines.
is my view changing constantly? Sorry, is Ron playing?
I think Ron's playing.
Board. He's playing games with the.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. Yeah. Learning the bells and whistles of Restream. It looks like.
Yeah, on the fly.
On the fly, right?
But I will tell you that one of the games that Troy is running, the entire set of terrain, I made for him. So I think I got to talk to him about it. But I think we're going to have just maybe a little flyer there, some business cards, and just letting people know that it came from our shop.
Yeah.
But
Mike, I have a question for you. So
Sure.
Let's go back in time, say 3 years. Okay. And where were you in Thunderstruck 3 years ago as opposed to today?
we weren't. 3 years ago today, I was finishing up my career working for the prison system in New York. I did 25 years there and got out as soon as I hit my 25. I got my pension and decided I don't want to work for somebody else again. And, it's like my backstory is not nearly as interesting as Mark's. I mean, I got started in like 86. I was 12 years old. But it was like my stepmother, she was a nurse, and some friends gave her a Moldvay Basic box set. And she wanted nothing to do with it. She gave it to me. So it filled my imagination, but we weren't really playing.
Yeah.
A couple years later in high school, I met some kids. They got me playing first edition. And somehow, I don't even know how this tracks, but we go back and it was a very short time playing. And all of a sudden, they handed me the reins of DMing, and I've been doing it ever since. And, of course, here I am, a teenager, just got into first edition, second edition comes out. So that was kind of my bread and butter. I was just buying everything I could. We had a Walden Books nearby, and, you can't see the bookshelf over here, but that bookshelf is filled. 2 of them behind me are filled. It's all second edition stuff.
So
what
year is this?
Well, 89, when second edition came out, I started buying it all.
So 89, you were going into Walden Books.
Yep.
I'm going to make a bold prediction.
Yep.
You went into Walden Books and you bought a Dungeoneer's Survival Guide and a Wilderness Survival Guide for $3.95
Probably.
off the shelves there because they had dropped the prices on them, just as they did with Greyhawk Adventures and Dragonlance Adventures at the time. You could buy them for $4.
Yeah, yeah.
Someday I will tell you about the various factor information about selling through Random House and TSR, including KB Toy and Hobby. There's
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, don't get me started on KB Toy and Hobby.
So the biggest mistake I made we had a KB Toy and Hobby in the same mall with the Walden Books, and they had basic D&D stuff for $1. And at the time, I was buying second edition stuff, and I'm like, I don't want that. And now I kick myself, going, man, I should have bought it all.
I'll tell you the truth. One of the items that made KB in that the purge, I'm going to call it, was Dungeon Module H1, the box set, and they were selling it for like $2.
Wow!
I went on a journey through Eastern PA, Delaware, and New Jersey, and bought like 100 of them. I just went to every one when I saw it there, and I had them packed away. And every once in a while, I pull one out, still in the shrink wrap, and sell it off. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, I was pretty bad about hoovering up all the stuff from KB because I just had a sense that some of it was going to be very valuable at some point.
Yeah, I was still a dumb teen at the time, and I didn't know any better.
Yeah,
so was I. I was just a greedy teen. I was a dumb teen, but I was greedy. I had a greed factor going on.
Yeah, I used to get my hardbacks from Walden Books and my modules from KB.
Yeah. So I bought most of my
and let's
stuff.
Let's not forget B. Dalton. They played a role at that time as well.
Yeah.
I didn't have
my stuff from a very good hobby store, but we also had a hobby store that sold mostly RC hobby stuff, and model rockets and things. But the son of the owner was into D&D, so the guy would order the minimum amount he could on stuff, and then he would sell everything his son didn't want at cost. So we would go buy players' handbooks for like $6 or $8 or something like that. Hey, I just showed a picture of Mike's really cool train stuff, but I forgot I have something I need to show of Mark's that is very cool. It's not terrain, but let me call that up here, and I've got a little story attached to it. Here we go. There, sharing my screen.
Try it again, Ed. I don't know what happened. I clicked on it and it just disappeared.
I will try again. Here we go. There we go.
So isn't that pretty?
We were talking about Mark being at GaryCon, and one of the things that happens a lot at GaryCon is we have the sort of old TSR alumni party. People who worked at TSR long ago and friends and family meet up, and we have a little party. But usually before the convention, the Wednesday night beforehand, some of us will get together and have dinner. And I ran into Mark, and we got to talking, and I said, well, why don't you join us for this thing? Because he had said that he had these mugs he wanted to show off. And so we went and we had dinner, and he brought a whole case of these things and gave us each one of them, which I thought was really, really nice. But Mark, you made those, right?
Yeah, I have friends at Deneen Pottery here in Minnesota. So what happened is that last year it was November, and I was frustrated because no one had made a 50th anniversary mug. And so I contacted Ernie, who was still alive and fairly healthy at that point. And then I contacted Luke, and then I contacted Heidi to get permission from them to make, because nobody else had made one. And Luke was the one that suggested, Gygax, that I contact Greg Bell, the original artist, and get permission to use the Lizard Man. And so so these are thrown at Deneen Pottery here in Minnesota. They use clay from the Red River Valley down there. And so they're American made, and they're kiln fired at, 2,300 degrees. So they're microwave safe, freezer safe, oven safe, and they're non-toxic, and you can do whatever you want with them. And I had them designed to be 23.3 ounces because you want to be able to fit an imperial pint in there, but also, like, people don't like to drink 8 ounces of coffee. They want to drink 25 ounces of coffee or tea or whatever. So that was the idea. It was kind of a fit of pique that I did this. So Greg graciously agreed to let me use the artwork, and then $5 from every purchase goes towards him, because once again, a lot of these artists that made all of our favorite artwork back then, there's no legacy sort of income for them. There's no pension. So if they can get something, they need money too. So.
Right, and that's part of the reason. For that precise reason is why we started our gamer assistance program, because there are so many of the originators, whether they were authors, adventure designers, rule writers, or artists. They got to turn to GoFundMe to pay for car repairs or house repairs. So I think that you're right on target there, and we've been able to take some of those charitable funds that we raised through our auction and through direct donations and get them into those folks' hands. Now, let me ask you something. I'm going to maximize you on the screen again.
Sure.
Put your hand in the. Okay.
It actually fits. Yeah, it's a big.
The reason I ask is because my wife Jennifer is very particular about her mugs, and she wants to fit her whole hand, just as you've had it, in there.
Yeah.
And so I'd ask you to bring one of those so I can purchase it at Page, and so I can get that into her hands, because she likes her coffee, and frankly, I'm afraid of her when she doesn't have her coffee. So I want to make sure that I get one of those, because when I tell you going to buy a mug in like a pottery store, especially when we're on vacation, she's sitting there manhandling them, making sure she can get her hand completely in there. So what made me frustrated was a lot of the vendors at different conventions. I mean, you guys have been to Gen Con and stuff. A lot of it is just, I'm sorry, it's cheap Chinese junk. And I wanted something that you could hand down to your grandkids or great grandkids, or if you need to, you could fight somebody with this and probably win. So yeah, exactly. I want to have a real souvenir. I want to have something that'll last. Don't give those mugs church key status. I mean, few people know that Ed is actually called Ed Two Mugs Stark because of his use of mugs while brawling on the street,
fighting two.
It is called a mugging for a reason.
I will.
It's 23.3 ounces. It's also 23 pounds.
These jokes are awful.
Oh boy. So I will have the last of the first run with me from the original run at Deneen Pottery, and I think I'm talking to them about doing a second run already, and then also having coasters made with the same decal on it, 50th anniversary coasters, and then also 50th anniversary key fobs, like leather key fobs.
Well, I want to retract what I just said. Bring me one for purchase at EggCon.
Okay.
All right.
That'll probably be easier since you're right there.
Yeah.
Yep. But I will be driving out to Page and bringing the whatever I have. So
now, Mark, when you talk about making key fobs and badges, if you happen to know if you need things laser engraved, I know a guy. Going back to Phil's question, when I retired, my original plan was to get into. It was all going to be laser cut and engraved. It was all wooden products.
Nice.
And first page, I had very, very little 3D printed stuff. I've been 3D printing forever for my own stuff, but I didn't want to get into that as a business. I'm like, no, I'm going to do the laser. And part of the problem I find with tabletop gaming and laser stuff is a lot of the stuff out there, including mine the first year, was just, it's made with birch plywood.
Yep.
It looks nice, but it's okay. And I really decided if I'm going to stick with the laser, and I still have the laser, very expensive machine, I'm still paying off 2 years later.
Yeah.
I've decided I want to get into real wood products and come up with something unique. So I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to go with. But
have you guys, I mean, you're talking about the laser engraving, and I know it's not at all the same, but I've found that stuff that goes into the harder woods, like the wood burning products, seem to be sturdier. I don't know if there's a easier process to do that than by hand. I don't know anything about it.
So I have a 100-watt CO2 laser. I can pretty much engrave and burn any type of wood. I mean, my father couldn't believe it. I cut a 3/4 inch piece of acrylic with it, and he brought it over, and we were using it to replace a casement window, and we were putting that in it and ran a vent out of it. And that's all he had was a 3/4 inch piece. It was huge. And he's like, I don't know how you're going to cut that. I'm like, don't worry about it. We're going to put it on the laser and we're going to cut it. And I showed him how to do it and did it in 2 passes and cut right through it. But yeah, it can, we've talked about getting into outdoor signs, real wood, deep engraves on them, stuff that after you're done, you put your varnish on it. It'll last a lifetime. You can hang it outside and, it's not, you can't do that with a piece of plywood. I mean, like my game room sign there, Ron has one in his room. I sold a bunch of those the first year, and I'm still selling off that. I had like 120 of them the first year. I'm still selling them off. I'm almost out of them, but
yeah, we need to get a Tail Weaver's Tavern sign for our dungeon room.
Yeah, and I think,
is the dungeon room where you play you play D&D, Jen?
Well, yes.
I just want to make sure. This is a PG-13 program.
I found an image online of one of Mark's original projects. Sorry, Mike's.
Oh, one of mine?
I shared an image. If Ron wants to.
So to answer questions really, really quick for those of you that asked, you can order the mugs for me or through the Order of the Owl. If you send a friend request through Facebook, I can get you the information. It's up to you guys. I really did it. Like I said, it's not really for profit. I was doing it to help the artist, and because there needed to be a 50th anniversary mug and stuff like that bugs me. I really think that Hasbro dropped the ball completely by not having a lot of good 50th anniversary merch. I think they really screwed up. So that's just my personal opinion. Now, to what you could do with your laser, I am in life. You were a prison guard. I was a forester. So this is Bird's Eye Maple from Upper Michigan, where I went to get my PhD. And if you cut like coins out of this, and laser engraved them with Greg Bell's artwork and the year 50th anniversary, I would buy those for inspiration coins for my game for Order of the Owl.
What kind of wood is that?
It's Bird's Eye Maple. This is 5A. This is the best there is. I had this mandolin made by my friends. They're luthiers in Ireland. I do play, but not well.
Oh, that's cool.
It is gorgeous. And the little eyes have incredible chatoyancy. It's that flash that gemstones have too.
Now, does that have a stain on it, or is that just a clear finish?
This is just clear finish. Yep.
Okay.
So, but the Bird's Eye Maple is just sugar maple that grows with that pattern in it up in northern Michigan, Upper Michigan. So kind of up.
I will have to look into it because that's definitely something I could do.
So different woods. I mean, I could bring you or help supply you that kind of stuff. So. And then for customers, I mean, I know if there's you guys DM. I mean, if you did incorporate, I mean, I'm doing AD&D with the best of the rest from Dungeons and Dragon magazine. But inspiration is fun to give out if there is somebody that has really good role play, or if they do something really clever. I don't mind rewarding players with something like that.
I love using inspiration. In fact, one of the things I do in my home campaign and in convention campaigns is I do not cap inspiration at 1. I allow for a second one, but I also really I do make situations where they really got to spend them,
Sure.
But one of the reasons I like having them for 2 is that they can always sort of save 1 for that critical saving throw.
Sure.
But
that's
If
my
they
theory
remember
on.
to use it.
Yeah, my theory on combustibles is I like Gary. I give out a lot of potions and a lot of scrolls.
yeah,
And
yeah.
yes, if you find a lot of them, there will be certainly a percentage that will be cursed, and that's part of the game too. So,
No,
So
I-
I did a set of. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, if you're too stingy on consumables, then people won't use them, and then it's like, why bother having them? But if potions and stuff like that and scrolls are great treasure, because if they know that they're going to keep getting them, they'll use them, and it allows it to be fun and get effects into the game that you wouldn't otherwise see.
Now, see, I always save mine until I actually really need it. And then when I really need it, I am so engrossed in the story that I forget.
that happens.
Yep. Now, I have a question. You've played with both Dave Artisan and Gary Gygax. Do you have a favorite moment of that you played with each of them? And what are the differences between their 2 play styles?
Do you want a corny dad joke Gary story really quick?
Sure.
Okay, so we were running the Company of the Shining Spear, and we had a +1 spear, +3 versus, I think, Goblin Kin. So anything that a ranger could, target as giant kin, goblin kin, it was the same thing. Anyway, so when they were around, like the Tolkien thing, it would glow, that kind of thing. So we're in this underground complex, and we're playing with goblins, and we've been having just a hell of a time with these things. And they do their ambushes, and they're doing hit and run. They would just disappear in the darkness, and they would laugh. And they had tunnels up high that they had dug through and we couldn't really easily get to them or get into them because of their size. So we finally get into this grand melee with a bunch of them, and they're coming in waves from front and back. And the wizard's like, well, we've got to summon something to help us before the main group gets here. And he used the aforementioned cursed scroll. We didn't know it was cursed. It's monster summoning, and it worked as monster summoning, but it worked as monster summoning aquatic. So we got dolphins in a cave. Well, then the wizard's like, well, this will work out okay. I'll get my decanter of endless water. I'll ram it into the wall, into a crack in the cave, and I'll set it for geysers so we can fight and the dolphins can help us. We'll try to take the high ground. So we're fighting on the high ground, and of course, wave after wave of goblins coming in. The dolphins are helping us. It's going pretty well. The fighter decides to throw his spear at the shaman on the far side who's casting spells and making it tough for us. And this is our shining spear. He throws it and rolls a 1, and he hits one of the dolphins.
Oh, no.
And of course, the geyser has made a waterfall off the back, and he spined the poor dolphin, and the dolphin gets washed over the edge, and our spear goes with it. We can see the brightness disappearing into the blackness beyond. And Gary looks at us, and he's like, don't you guys realize? And we're like, realize what? And he's like, you're defeating the porpoise.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm
Saw
sorry.
that one coming like a dolphin down a waterfall.
Yeah, and that was a true story. As far as play styles, I think Arneson, they both had their roots in wargaming. Gary lost that after not very long. I mean, he really got into the adventuring aspect of it, and Dave held on to the more like chainmail type. He wanted to do formations, and so I'm a hybrid of both. If you're a party and you've been adventuring for a while, I want somebody in the party with a high intelligence and a high wisdom, and you can metagame that as much as you want outside of game. But I want you to draw up formations. Mark, we have a 90-degree wall behind us in a fortress setting. Mark, we have a rounded wall behind us. Mark, there's some high ground over there with some cover. Then I want you to be able to use like plan alpha, plan beta, plan whatever, Z, whatever you choose to call them, to fight those foes. And then everybody runs to that spot and they know what their role is and where they're going to be. And if you control the map, if you control the high ground, if you control the choke point, you're going to win the battle. I mean, a lot of these things can be decided in that first round or two of combat. And I think that's where a lot of people fail. I mean, if you're a good DM and they've got the high ground, they should be getting pluses on their attacks, and the enemy should be getting minuses on theirs because of cover. And then the height, of course, gives you a better view to control what's going on. So, I mean, that's supposing that everybody's kind of caught flat-footed,
Yep. All right. Well, listen, we're looking forward to seeing you both at Page. I mean, we're very happy to have the Order of the Owl events at Page. I think that'll create a new tradition for the convention, and the attendees at Page like tradition, even though it's a new convention. There's certainly things that they're already looking forward to each year, and we believe the Order of the Owl will be fit right in with what we're doing. And Mike, we're really looking forward to seeing you again at Page, because I don't have to tell you that the folks who visit the vendors room there, they really cannibalize your booth there by buying things from you and things like that. And that's pretty much across the board for all the vendors, but specifically with yours, because the painted terrain is something else. I mean, that's just plug and play, put it out on the table, and let's go, let's rock.
And that's what I really tried to focus on.
Yeah, but does anybody have any other questions? Anybody from the chat have any questions for either of the guests before we let them go? Give it a second here. We have a few.
There was a question, and I think you actually kind of answered it, Mark, but at least a couple of people asked, can they order these mugs and have them shipped to them?
Sure. At first, one of the most daunting things about shipping them, of course, is that they are clay. Now, the barrels have never broken, but the handles have broken off. So with the extra, the weight and stuff, I end up costing about $15 to ship. And if you don't mind that, that's exact. I mean, I'll charge exact cost. So I'm running $40 a mug. $5 goes to the original artist, and then I have to do $15 shipping. Or you can see me at a convention like Page and pick them up in person. I don't mind. So
great.
That's a good deal.
You post your information in chat at
Sure.
some point?
Yeah.
Or on the Page Facebook page, or whatever's convenient.
I don't know where the chat box is on Restream.
So we actually can't access it. If you post it in the private chat, Ron
Sure.
can stick it in there, or you can just post it later in the Facebook
Absolutely.
Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo area.
I would actually, with the Order of the Owl, there are certain, like, if you're going to have a climax encounter, it would be awesome to have painted terrain ready to go, because that's one thing. I love having terrain, and I don't mind having the figures. I still have a lot of my old Ralparthas from the 70s, but and we do utilize them for combat, just for visual. Some people just think and visualize things differently. Terrain helps so much with that.
Yeah, it does. I don't see any questions there. Jumping over to Mike Saxton, do you have anything you want to say in closing?
I'm really looking forward to Page again this year. I stopped doing all these local shows that I was doing last year because I found gaming stuff doesn't really sell at these local shows. And I was changing my products around for everyone, just trying to chase a few bucks, and it's not worth it. So like tomorrow, there's one. I did it last year. It is literally a quarter of a mile from my house. It's $25 to set up a table. I did really well with it, but I can't take my D&D stuff there and sell it. I mean, I put some stuff out. Some people are interested and look at it, but they don't buy it. You know, so I have to make all kinds of other products. So the only shows I'm doing this year is Central New York next week and then Page. So I've got a lot of time to prepare, and I've got some big ideas of what I want to do with it. So
Nice.
I hope
Awesome.
I hope this year, you know, we sold out of a lot of stuff last year. I brought a lot thinking we had enough, and we sold out. So I'm hoping to have quite a bit of stock this year, and I hope we do well.
That was a lot of the vendors last year. I mean, Gaxland was sold out of everything by like Saturday morning.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, it's a show that the vendors' room's very busy. Mark, do you have anything you want to leave us with before we let you go?
No, just really looking forward to seeing all of you in person, and then getting to know that area of Philly. So for me, that's new too. So,
Well, Mark, will you be at Game Hall?
oh yeah, yep. So for me, AgCon is next, and then Game Hole Con after that, and then I still might do Con of the North in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and then because that's still like an Artisan legacy. And then for sure, you know, Page. I think I'm probably going to cap out at maybe 6 shows a year. I don't do Gen Con anymore. I don't do Origins. I haven't for years. It's just too big. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
Yeah.
well, Ed, Ron, and myself will be at Game Hole, so
Okay.
maybe we can meet up then and say hi.
Yeah, so I'm a guest of honor at Game Hole again. I'm going to be at the end of the long haul because it's more adaptable for the bigger. One of the things really that happened this year was kind of surreal. I had 24 players at my table this year at one time.
How did you manage it?
So exactly, that's one of the things that DMs want to know from me is how do you crowd control? How do you manage, still make it entertaining, still include everybody at 24? And it's tough. 14 is about where I really want to cap out. But that was 24 without spectators. And our second table had 8. So we were at 32 players at one point. And what was happening was that we would send off a group of 8 players on a mission, and then those seats would fill up at the main table again. And then they would come back with their mission, and I would have to send off a different 8 people to go do something else and with a secondary DM. And so it was working out really, really well, but it was still tough. It's a lot of juggling.
Say that's one of the reasons you have your helpers.
Yeah. Bringing extra DMs is good.
You know, you should do a special aquatic adventure in the hotel pool. Years ago at a convention, a friend of mine, when we worked at TSR, we actually did. The convention made a mistake and didn't give us enough space to run the Dragon Dice tournament that we were doing. Yeah. And so we ran it at the pool because we figured, hey, worst thing that happens is dice fall in the pool. Yeah, so we told people come with swimsuits.
Dragon Dice, I got news for you. That wasn't a mistake that they didn't have enough space.
It was popular for a short time. We had over 60 people signed up.
Ed, I was at Origins East in Philadelphia in 1994 where I demoed Dragon Dice, and I don't know who demoed it there for TSR, but maybe it was you.
Not in Philadelphia at that time, no.
Okay, all right. But I
he was still with West End Games then.
Yeah, well, Dragon Dice wasn't out in '94,
wasn't it? I remember demoing.
It came out in '96 because I was at TSR when it came out.
Yep.
But you know, I was on one of the original playtest teams, and one of the very things that was very funny is we pointed out a number of problems fairly early on that didn't get corrected. I mean, I actually think there's a lot of good stuff in that game, but making it a collectible dice game was crazy. It was, you know, just who wants to collect the little icons? You know, that's what cards are for. But anyway, yeah, we're getting off on a tangent.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So Mark and Mike, we really appreciate you coming on the program tonight, and maybe if we have time prior to Page, we'll bring you both back on again.
That'd be great.
But thanks for coming out, and we're going to let you get on with your Friday nights at this point.
All right. Really nice meeting and seeing all of you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you both
too.
too.
Thank you for having us.
Great talking to you guys.
See you, Mike.
Okay.
Well, that was a very interesting, I think, conversation with our two guests this evening. They had
Sure
a lot of
was.
very interesting things to share, and I think I know I'm even more excited personally to have Mike rejoin us at page 3 and having Mark join us. I think Mike has really honed his business model into what he does very, very well, and Mark obviously knows what he's doing, and now we've got pulsating windows in Restream.
Well, the great thing is Thunderstruck will make its booth money back off of Ron. So,
Yeah, right. Of course. Yeah. There you go.
and
Yeah,
probably their travel money off of me.
Isn't that what
So-
you call a patron if you're being nice, or a sugar daddy if you're not?
You know, one of the things, little known fact, I buy something from every booth at the convention. Now, we've more than doubled our number of booths, so it's going to be a real challenge this year.
All right.
But I generally buy something from every vendor at the convention when I'm there. The jewelry vendors do very well because, me being the king of romance, I shower my wife with jewels and gifts. So
Jill always loved it when I brought her back earrings from conventions.
I noticed, did you see Jenn knocking back that big glass of vodka right there?
No, it was water. The vodka's in the shot glass.
Well, your shot glasses are like 12-ounce cans.
Wicked big shot. That's what it is.
That's why she wants one of those mugs so bad, so she can secretly fill it with some sort of like alcoholic liquid that you can't see.
Yeah, you got me. You got me.
Yeah, it's gonna move to just like Everclear or something like that.
Frozen daiquiris.
Yeah,
I wish.
Yeah, whiskey. You
could say it's a smoothie.
Yeah, there you go.
So hey, what else do we got? Because I'm gonna feed my cats soon.
Yes, we're nearing the witching hour. Registration.
Yeah, Ed turns into a pumpkin in about 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yep. So we got to rip through con news, folks. Page news. Let's go through some things here. Registration is still open. Get your badge. Ron and I were watching that. We can see that people are still grabbing badges. 4-day badges are still going, which is great. Event submissions, get them to us. It will not be open forever. So if you are on the fence, you need to get us your game submissions. Approval of events has definitely started. Scheduling is underway as well. And again, remember, PhillyGamingExpo.com is where you would grab that. Hotel block, where are we with that, Ron? Hotel block.
Just about sold out. And then we'll open up something else at another hotel that's about 2 miles up the road. But
right,
if you have it, if you're coming and you haven't gotten your room yet, grab it. Go to our website, go to the attend tab, look at hotel accommodations, follow the link, and do it there to get your special pricing. And the rooms are really selling out quick at both hotels. It's not just the Hilton Garden Inn, it's the Hampton that's selling as well.
Right. And folks, if you don't know, if you've never been to Page, Hilton Garden Inn is typically the hotel where all the evening festivities go down. So if you are a social butterfly, you want to be getting your room at the Hilton Garden Inn. That's right. I think, isn't it like this? Isn't this the butterfly?
I wouldn't know, Phil, but that's
a couple of nice things though. If you aren't able to get a hotel at the Hilton Garden, there are hotels nearby. If you've never been to Page, just a reminder that it has a huge parking area, so you won't have a problem. And it's free parking, so you won't have any problem, coming and going, things like that. Mm-hmm. Another thing, I'm going to jump in and say we are almost at we're slowing it down here. We're not going out and actively recruiting, but we're almost at 100 special guests, over 90 registered special guests so far. That's a lot of industry notables, artists, designers, people that, whose names you're going to recognize, you're going to want to see. So, that's a huge opportunity at a smaller convention. It's nice to have that sort of number of guests that, that you can hang out with, game with. If you're not running into a industry notable, it's because you're trying not to,
Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to hit 100 special guests. I mean, we're getting there. And of course, people look on the website and go, oh, well, there's only like 50 listed there. Well, we release them slowly for public consumption. And,
yes. And they poke me going, why haven't I been announced yet? I'm like, you will be.
Well, but listen, and then we announce 2 that are typically kind of hand in hand on podcasts, and they came back and one of them said, oh, we want to be individuals. So we're probably going to end up before the convention again and re-announcing 2 guests at some point. But, we're getting everybody. And in fact, we had said to ourselves, we're not gonna take any more guests. And then two more pretty high profile people in the gaming industry, conversations started with them just over the past week, and one of them reached out to us through one of the friends of the convention, and we're going to make that announcement next week as soon as it's finalized. And I think people will be very very pleasantly surprised by that guest announcement when it happens.
Yeah, there's also a couple of other efforts that we're making that Ron and Phil and the team did last year, but we're seeing opportunities for even greater improvement. Ron and I have been talking, and we're going to expand this about more sponsorship. We had some sponsors last year, people who contributed product and money for the Gamers Assistance Program and things to the auction. We're going to be reaching out to people. So if you are at all interested in being a sponsor, there's all kinds of different ways you can help Paige. You can let us know. But, mostly we're thinking things like manufacturers, exhibitors, things like that. But even individuals can do that. Another thing that I wanted to call attention to, because I thought this was something that Ron and Phil did that was really great, is last year we had on call medical professionals in case something happened. And Ron and Phil, were glad that we had that, but speaking for them, we thought maybe they were not as as much as we needed. So we've actually reached out and are going to have some more people involved in that. So if you're attending the show, and hopefully nothing will happen to anybody, but if something does, we will have people around who can help out. So
last year we did have volunteers who were nurses and a doctor and EMTs. They were on a like a chat network that we had set up should there be a problem. And then of course there were paid EMTs there. This year we're going fully with our volunteer team because we just think it's a better system. The paid EMTs that were there, through the convention center, no one knew where to find them if something did happen, or how to contact them to get them to react. So we've had a bunch of medical folks led by our staffer Pete Flagg, and as well as a few nurses that we have on hand and a doctor. We're going to have our own medical team in place for this year.
Yeah, and that's all part and parcel of refining the process, sanding off the rough edges as the con grows, and getting better at what we do here when it comes to organizing. So it's exciting stuff. And to round out this evening's show, we did want to mention that, remember, if you can't get enough of Paige live streaming, then Tuesday at 6:30 we have a new show with Our board gaming guru and expert, Becca Swesney, who is in charge of the board gaming library at Page. If you want to sit down on a Tuesday evening and hear all about the fantastic things that are going on at Page regarding board gaming, then you got to log on and you got to jump into chat and you've got to interact with Becca. Last week, first it was Ed, then it was Ron. Ron, who is joining? Is it you again this week?
I don't know who it's going to be this week. It might be Bex on her own. I'm actually traveling this week, so
Okay.
if I'm on, it'll be from a hotel room in Washington D.C.
Oh, if Bex is going to be alone, let me know. I can probably jump on. I don't think I have anything going on Tuesday night.
Okay.
Does she have a topic that she's covering this year? Or this year?
Well, I think we're going to have. I think there's going to be guests this week.
She's got guests.
We'll know tomorrow. We'll know tomorrow. But it's we've been reaching out to the folks who've been active with board gaming, whether they're vendors or manufacturers who are at Page, and we're going to get them all on that program when we can.
Awesome.
So look for that.
We're at our current high viewer point right now for the for tonight's program. Believe it or not, between
raising the roof
between
right now,
YouTube and Facebook, and I'm happy to announce pretty soon we'll be streaming this show simultaneously to Twitch as well.
Great.
Awesome.
Yes. Well, folks, if you are joining us for Page News at the end, like I had said, you may have missed that. I want to make sure I get this right. We are going to be joined at Page 3 by a visit by Garrison Carita of the 501st. If you know what that is a Star Wars cosplay outfit that will be joining us, and they portray members of the Empire.
They're a big charity organization. They go to hospitals. They go to Boys and Girls Club events, things like that. I actually work with a couple of people who are in the 501st.
Yeah,
well,
hopefully will be joining us at the show.
No, they will be. They
well, I mean, those
those. Well, we won't know because they'll all be under stormtrooper masks.
Actually, one of them plays one of the Imperial officers.
Oh, really? Okay. Yep. Oh, well, that's exciting. And I always thought that stormtroopers should spend more time at the shooting range to improve their aim.
Yeah, there was. I just saw a meme. It was just yesterday or 2 days ago, where it was from the original Star Wars, where when the Jawas get executed because they're looking for R2-D2, and Obi-Wan Kenobi says, "Do you see these blaster marks here? They're too accurate. They're only Imperial stormtroopers have that degree of accuracy," or whatever. And then they just show clips right over there of just them like literally hitting nothing for like the next 2 hours of the movie.
So
anyway,
we have a couple things. We have a $25 site credit from Frog God Games to give away tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, I did want to mention one more thing. I don't know if we mentioned it last week. A scavenger hunt. I wanted to mention the scavenger hunt. We announced the fact that at Page 3, there's going to be a scavenger hunt. And what it'll entail is that there will be 50 items around the con center that you want to take a selfie with. And if you can bring that photo evidence back to, I would guess, most likely HQ, where you're no.
You're off base. It's not only items. It could be companies, it could be people, it could be guests, and then we're going to have a online repository where you dump your selfie photos, and for those who get all 50, assuming there's more than one, there will be a prize given out to the to the winner, even if we have to randomly select one, and that prize will be a lifetime gold badge to Paige.
And we will send around volunteers to make sure nobody messes with the items.
Well, it's not necessarily just items. So, we were talking about sponsorships earlier. So if Thunderstruck Workshop decides they want to be a sponsor of the selfie scavenger hunt, maybe one of the selfie photos that you need to take will be at the Thunderstruck Workshop booth. Things like that. And, I promise you, Ed, you will absolutely be one of the topics of the selfie scavenger hunt. We're going to see pictures of Ed Stark all over the place on social media during the convention.
Drive down attendance.
Well, we'll see about that. You're looking dapper in your green Page collared golf shirt there.
Just felt I should dress up for the occasion.
So that'll be a fun event this year that everybody can get involved in. It's something to keep people active throughout the convention, looking for clues, looking for things that they can take pictures of that are related to the selfie scavenger hunt.
Oh, I know you guys post. I love the fact that we're now posting our schedule for the Friday night guests a few weeks in advance. But just for anybody who hasn't noticed, who are next week's guests?
Next week's guests are Stan Brown and Matt Ballant.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I'll tell you who won't be on next week. If Phil, the birthday boy, will not be on next week, we'll have to fight our way through it with just me, you, and Jenn, because Phil's got a very special birthday coming up, the big 6-0. And,
actually 7-0. Get it right.
Yeah.
Oh, well, happy early birthday, Phil.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, I know Stan was in the chat. In fact, I think he still is. It's entirely possible we may be able to convince him to do some sketching while we're talking to him. Because I watching his program on YouTube, that's a lot of what he does. So
yes, he does sketch on his live stream. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you asked him about that before you brought it up, because now it's an expectation.
Nope. I'm good at that. Yeah.
We have a few ideas for the selfie scavenger hunt. Somebody suggests a selfie with Ben Franklin. Remains to be seen whether we're going to have Ben Franklin back or not. Believe it or not, he didn't rate out too well with the guests, with the attendees last year. I thought he was great, but the attendees weren't. He wasn't high on the attendees list, but I'll tell you who was. B. Holder was very high on the list last year, and so we know B. Holder will be there. We know there will be more cosplayers there. So I've been recruiting some cosplayers that hopefully will show up.
I got to say too, B. Holder. Let me see. Phil, did you see the owl bear that was at GaryCon last year?
The owl bear.
I guess you didn't. You would not have to think about it if you.
No, I don't think I did.
The owl bear was awesome. We're gonna have to get those two together somehow.
Yeah. Okay, and as we finish out the night tonight, I did want to mention that we had the if you missed some of the special guests that we had announced the last maybe week or so, we have announced the return. Bob Watts, the legend of RPG miniatures, will be returning guest for Page 3. Zach Glazer, Chief Operating Officer for Frog God Games, will be joining us. Zach is a good friend of ours. Joining us for the first time will be Al Spader. He is a writer for Star Trek Adventures 2nd Edition. So if you are, and I believe that 2nd Edition is not that old. I believe it was just released in the last year, I want to say. So it's a relatively recent release. And then we had two Twitch folks, Little Bones 309 and Darling Creep Show. They were announced as well. They are both content creators, typically focusing on Twitch. Little Bones focuses on indie game actual plays, and Darling Creep Show is a member of the online Greyhawk community, and they will be with us as well.
And while they're friends and often are together, they are they want it to be known that they are not a tandem; that they are individual guests.
Yes. Yep. Yes. So again, while they're known to each other and they do collaborate, but they do their own thing. But we've got a plethora of additional guests to announce, folks, and so we want to make sure that you are sticking around, paying attention to our Facebook posts. I try to highlight everything and aggregate it for the show every week here, so that if you missed out and you don't want to scroll back, you can just listen to us here at the end of the show and find out what's going on. So I think that's sort of kind of taken us very close to the end of the show.
We have to give away the $25 Frog God game site credit, and we also have to. We usually, as is our tradition, we announce another special guest on the program.
All right.
So why don't you? Who do you think we should give away the Frog God game certificate to this month or this episode?
Let's see.
We don't have a trivia question we want to do. Probably it's a little late in the day.
Chumley Morgan, is that Ryan?
No, that's not Ryan. That's Chumley. They're two different people.
Okay.
So we'll definitely get him set up.
Yeah, if Chumley Morgan is still on the stream,
I know how to get in contact with Chumley. Yeah.
All right, great. Then just forward his email or whatever on to Jen, and she'll hook him up.
Okay, so we're going to announce a guest here, and
I think that's some drums rolling.
Yep, really bad drum roll.
I'm going to see how well Phil's on his toes here.
Okay.
Scott Woodard, RPG designer and voice actor.
Okay, there you go, folks. Scott Woodard.
Look him up, folks. Very diverse background. A lot of it, a lot of RPG writing experience, and additionally, a lot of nerd-centric type voice acting credits. And we're pretty happy to have him, and looking forward to chatting with him. And hopefully, one of our most sought after seminars last year was, do you have what it takes to be a voice actor? And then the person who submitted it didn't show up to the convention to run it, unfortunately. So we're going to push Scott into the spotlight on this and ask him to pick up that ball this year at Page.
Oh, good, because I signed up for that seminar last year and I was really disappointed that it didn't happen. So
yeah, it's unfortunate. It was unfortunate that that individual didn't show up, and they're on the list where we don't
welcome
really we're never going to talk to that person about this again. And interestingly, we are at our high viewer total right now for the night. So I guess we're going to end on a high note, and as we normally end,
Well, that's because Paige is the nightcap of their evening. We're the nightcap. That's how I like to think about it. Yeah, we're that little thing that you just enjoy right before bed, right?
All right. So, Jennifer, you normally are the one who takes us out.
All right. I just want to mention something real quick. I was on the Facebook page and there was a post that listed all of the potential merchandise for Paige. And so if you haven't voted in that poll, make sure you do. You can vote for more than one thing. I think I voted for almost everything because everything sounded so good. But make sure you go do that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you have the time tomorrow, I will be streaming on my channel, The Blind Bard. So if you have the time, pop in and say hi. And everyone have a good week.
What time,
And
Jen? What time?
what time? 10 o'clock.
10 p.m.? 10 a.m.?
No, 10 a.m.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well,
have a good week, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.